Hello, I'm Olivier of Carbonifer. So, have you ever tried to ask your cloud or your IT team what's the carbon footprint of your cloud infrastructure? If you did, you probably don't have any answer. If you try to ask them what their plan for reducing their carbon footprint, you probably won't have any answer neither. Why? The problem is that the carbon footprint of the cloud infrastructure is pretty hard to calculate. Even if you do so, it's probably based on static or basically no live metrics of the CO2 emitted per hour. How many CO2 you're emitting per service, even per customer, it's hard to guess. And you're already dealing with performance under a certain budget. And if you add carbon footprint in this equation, it's going to be really challenging. How you can adapt and resize. And finally, how you can communicate and you can show to your customer or different people that you are doing effort on this area. A couple of years ago, I was working in a company where I was in charge of their cloud infrastructure, and I needed to work with a really tiny budget, but with a big cloud service with a lot of performances. And I needed to do a lot of optimization and use and even design some tools for bringing automatization and auto-scaling just to keep the best performance under the small budget. So imagine instead of dealing with dollars or costs, you're dealing with your CO2 costs. That's going to be basically the same mindset, the same set of tools. So basically I went from FinOps to GreenOps. So that's what Carbonifer is. So basically it's an observability and a SaaS platform where you can plug into your cloud infrastructure and check the metrics, try to guess what's the carbon emissions of your platforms alongside with the costs, try to analyze it and offer you actions to resize, move or delay your infrastructure or your load. And basically, ultimately, we would like to have your infrastructure carbon aware to be able to autopilot, auto-resize itself. So what's carbon awareness? So you probably know that when the weather is good in some countries, the electricity comes from solar panels and the electricity is pretty green. But what happens when the weather is bad or when it's the night, when it's the winter? So maybe you would like to resize, or you'd like to move your infrastructure in some other country where the electricity is a bit greener. Or if you have a heavy load like machine learning, image processing, video processing, maybe you would like to delay, postpone it when the sun's going to be up, or to move it to another country like Quebec where electricity comes from hydroelectricity. So that's what carbon awareness is, and that's what Carbonifer is going to bring to you. So why bothering? Currently, there is a set of laws and regulations that are set in place by different governments. That's not already yet, but they are coming. But on top of that, you want to be perceived as sustainable, as green from your customer, from everybody. Mostly from ESG funds. ESG funds want to spend money on sustainable company, and ESG funds are interested for your company to be sustainable if you want to track them. It's also a great tool for staff retention. If you are perceived as sustainable, you are attracting better talent because of the scarcity of the market. It's a great tool for customers retention as well, and of course it's going to help cost reductions. And more important, we all need to deal and to address the problem of the carbon footprints of the planet and the climate change. Cloud and data center account for 25% of electricity used by the whole digital sector, which is already huge, and this number is increasing and growing really fast. The entire cloud represents 300 megatons of CO2 emitted per year, which is the same carbon footprint as the full country like France or UK. That is enormous and it's growing. So what's our model? Our model is yet to be defined. We're a pretty young company. We are building our basic blocks as open source. We're truly building it open source because it's engaging the community, and you're going to be free to use the basic blocks and to contribute to those basic blocks in your company. But once we have a foot in this company, it's going to be easy to sell premium features such as live CO2 compared to live costs, a dashboard, third-party integration, and of course carbon awareness. So the market is pretty big. Cloud infrastructure service is already $100 billion. And if you can compare to some kind of similar tool like Terraform, Terraform is responsible of a tool which is used by 50 45,000 companies, and we can basically target the same kind of number. So we don't have direct competition because most of cloud providers, FinOps or carbon footprint management platforms, are either too wide or to have a very specific scope, but a little bit different, like they're monitoring your performance of your app or stuff like that. And more important, they don't have carbon awareness. On the contrary, we're offering platform agnostic. You will be able to target and monitor your platform hosted by AWS, GCP, Azure, you name it. It's going to be open source, managed service, turnkey service. It's going to help you to deep dive, to have a fine-grained numbers, for example, to know the carbon emission of your specific service, specific customer, a specific piece of architecture. And you're going to have live data, live CO2, alongside with live costs. And of course, it's going to bring carbon awareness. So it's just the beginning of our journey. We've been incorporated last week, so we're very, very young. We started an open source project a couple of months ago. This open source project showed a little bit of attraction. It's download like something, something like 10 downloads every day. And we're in the middle of user research and we're working toward a business plan. So I'm Olivier Biarlet, I'm the co-founder of this company. I was working at Elastic in the cloud team as software and DevOps engineer. I was part of the founding team of Canva. Basically, I was the first developer at Canva. And I teamed up with Yorli, who is the product manager for big product, big public problems. So thank you for your attention. If you have any question, you can ask now or meet us at the booth. Thank you very much.